All right, welcome to the book club. I'm Dylan here with my friend Keith. What's up, buddy?
Are we not friends? What the hell?
No, I guess that was poorly audioed. Yeah. No, it was because that's the book we're reading. So yeah, okay. Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're reading out some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing Fredrik Backman's 2025 novel, My Friends. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or reach out to us any past episodes, you visit our website, buddybookclub.com, send our DMs on X, Instagram. That's Buddy Book Club Podcast. That's the handle. You can listen to us iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Download, subscribe, 5-star reviews. Tell us you hate us or you love us, please, and thank you. Keith, Fredrik Backman, second book we've read of his, right? Anxious People was the other one?
Yep.
I didn't know, and I think we might have talked about A Man Called Ove at some point, like doing that book. I didn't even realize that was what then got turned into that Tom Hanks movie, A Man Called Otto, and it was also a Swedish movie. You sent me a quick clip of his, and he's like doing a speech at an awards thing or something. Mm-hmm. And he had some pretty good laughs in there. He seemed like
he's speaking English too, which is because he gets the book translated. So I'm like, he could just write it in English. Like, I don't think he'd have an issue.
He does it in Swedish and then it translates?
Yeah. I mean, he was pulling out words that I didn't know. And I was like, this is not your first language? Like, what the hell? Like, God damn it.
Exactly. That always bothers me too. The people that their second language funny. And they speak better. And not only do they speak better, like have a greater vocabulary than I do, but their jokes, like the timing is right. Yeah, it's things that I can't even do in my first language, and they're just crushing it in their second language.
Yeah, especially since comedic timing I feel like is different across different.
Oh, for sure.
And then also comedy is so word based that if you mess up one word, the joke is no longer funny. And he was just like, yeah, I'll just make this perfect. Don't worry about it. And I was like, God damn this guy.
In prep for this pod, I like to sometimes go on YouTube and hear what other people are saying, or, read a couple of Goodreads things, whatever the case is. I like the YouTube ones because it makes me feel a little bit better. Some of the people on YouTube, I honestly feel like are absolutely terrible. They spend the first 5 minutes just being like, oh my God, I'm so excited to talk about this book, guys.
We kind of do that.
It's
but
such well, we're talking about something, at least. It's not just,
it's not just fluff.
It's for it, to me, it's that part before you get to a recipe when you're reading an online recipe where it's like you're looking up something for apple crisp and it's like, it's Tuesday, I just started menstruating, so I thought, what do I need? I really need something delicious this fall. And fall's my favorite time. My kid Chandler, it's like that. You're like, get to the freaking recipe. Which turns into these reviews. They're 15 minutes long and I'm 10 minutes in. You haven't even talked about the book yet. That's what we're doing right here. Yeah. That's what we're doing right here. I get it. But I was looking up some of those, and I also saw some interviews that he had done. He was on Fallon, and he did an interview with like Barnes & Noble, a long format type thing, which I listened to a bit of. And I think you would get along with him because you're both very self-deprecating. He must have some demons, honestly, because he keeps talking about how he lost it. Like, he can't write anymore. When writing this book, My Friends, that we're going to talk about at some point, he had to like go into the woods and cry for a while to like figure it out. It was like he's like, I was in a dark place.
I was out there with them. I mean, what?
But he's also like, I'm just a terrible writer. I don't know how people write. Like, I'm a terrible writer. And his books are pretty well written. So did I say 4.4 on Goodreads? That's what this one has. But we'd read Anxious People before, so if you haven't checked out that app, or if you've read that book and haven't checked out that app, feel free to go and do so. All right, Keith, let's get into Stock Up, Stock Down. Stock Up, what do you got?
Stock Up, Rich Art Snobs.
Oh, Stock Up. That's my Stock Down.
Okay, well, I'll tell you why. I'm not a fan of Rich Art Snobs. You know me, dude.
No.
You know me.
That's why it's my
I think
Stock
the movie The Rock is the peak of art. I mean, let's be honest, which it is.
Yeah.
Give me a drawing of Fenway Park. I don't think there's a better drawing out there. Like, that's all you need to give me. I said, this beats everything. Give me the Mona Lisa versus that. I'll take Fenway.
Okay.
But you know what's worse than Rich Art Snobs?
What?
Poor art snobs.
Oh.
I mean, a big theme of this book is just how rich art collectors don't even understand the art, the deeper meaning. They didn't even see the kids hanging out on the
pier.
My answer is, who cares? Who gives a shit? I mean, is that really that big of a crime, though? Like, if you like the painting, and whether that be because you like the painting yourself and you just want it, or you want to show it off to friends and say, this is the painting I bought because We want to show it off, or it's an investment. All those things are okay. That's what art is for. And the reason that artists became artists, or art is famous in general, if you look back all over history, is because rich benefactors allowed them to do that. All these like big artists got like grants from these rich people that said, I want you to make art. Don't worry about your money. You can't fucking paint a picture of a piece of bread and eat it. You need money to do this. So all these people that they're complaining about are the whole reason that artists and art exists in the world right now. So don't give me this bullshit of like, oh, these guys are here and they don't understand that. Just shut up. Just shut up. It's the same thing like if you went and bought a Rolex, are you like, you don't even know how that works. Like you don't know the it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful piece of art and maybe you're getting it for investment. Maybe you're getting it to show off. But you don't necessarily need to know how the fucking piece of machinery works to buy it and want it.
Yeah.
I'm going to hang her. I could tell I was going to get angry with this one.
Louisa
is outside. Yeah. Louisa, whatever. She's drawing on the church, isn't she? Like outside.
Yeah, graffiti. It's art.
Yeah, she's just graffitiing the church. I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
I don't think it was a church. It was just the side of the art.
Yeah, I thought it was a church. Anyways,
whatever. Who cares?
She's drawing, and this is how I knew this book was like the artist thing was stupid. She's drawing beautiful cockroaches.
Yeah.
How exactly does one do that? Is this like are these cockroaches in like nice ballroom dresses or in like tuxedos? They have nice ass. Like, what is beautiful? Yeah. How? Explain to me how a cockroach can be beautiful. Just it doesn't make any sense.
36,
they're
24,
spray painting
36.
it also. There's no way you can spray paint a beautiful cockroach.
Of course you can. Graffiti, man, is art.
Oh my god. Anyways, rich art snobs are stock up. These poor art snobs are stock down.
Yeah, I think you're just talk about Fenway Park. You're not even on base here. You're on the pesky pole. You're sitting on the green monster. No, you're a fan. It's exactly like that though with Fenway. It's the same idea. Let's use that for an example because that's what you're going for. It's those pink hat Red Sox fans who are jacking up the price of those seats. And so they don't even care about the game. They're just sitting there gabbing. But you and I, the people, I mean, I don't even care about baseball, but let's just pretend I did. Let's pretend I'm 8 again. You and I who want to go to that game and can't get those seats, when we do eventually go to the game, we're trying to rally on the team. Hey guys, let's go rally caps, have a good time. And these people are on their phones looking at TikTok. They're not appreciating the game itself. They just want to be seen. They want an Instagram photo of themselves at a Red Sox game. So that's the same thing that's going on with these rich people.
That's a good analogy.
That's the thing with these rich people are. Like, I agree with you to some extent in that, yeah, if they like the photo, if they like the picture, like maybe they don't understand the total depths of it, but if it makes them feel a certain way, if it makes it move, then sure, they can enjoy it in their own way. I don't think the aspect of art isn't you need to enjoy it this way. It speaks to different people differently. But if the point of it is your Rolex example where you're just wearing it as a style symbol, yeah, you don't need to know how a Rolex watch works. But I could understand someone who found the machinery with inside the engineering to be absolutely incredible, and that's why they wear it. That person would be a total douchebag, I think, if you asked them that. But at the same time, 99% of the people that are wearing it are wearing a Rolex as a status symbol. Yes, it also appreciates in value, as does a lot of art, but it's a status thing. And that's the problem with the idea of these rich art people who buy this art and then put it up in their own homes, and no one will ever get to see it because they just want to tell people they have it, or they only show it to their small group of friends. I agree with you about the benefactoring aspect. That is how a lot of art was created originally, but in those times, in the Renaissance times, to my understanding, it was a lot of for public display. They'd have it would be a church that this beautiful art would be put in, or whatever the case is, the place where people go. It wasn't to be squirreled away in your whiskey decanting room so that you and all of your hobnobbing rich friends can look at it and they can be jealous of you that you have this super cool painting. So, yeah, the guy, our main character, Siyat, Kim, he has to sell everything he owns to buy back his own painting. And sure, there's an argument there that, well, don't get rid of it in the first place, or give it on loan to a museum that you can then take back if you want people to see it. But it's kind of crazy that someone who created something that was so meaningful to them then has to sell everything they own to buy it back. I will finish this by saying, though, that to your point, art, I don't know, I'm not saying all art is created like this, but I was watching Light and Magic. Are you familiar with that on Disney?
No.
You would love it if you haven't seen it yet. It's basically Industrial Light and Magic, the company that was started to do the effects for Star Wars, the original one. It's kind of the background of Industrial Light and Magic and George Lucas setting this company up and then them creating all of these effects for Star Wars. My point being in that, though, a lot of people were upset with George Lucas when he went out and created Star Wars because he and Spielberg ended up being the most successful of their Rat Pack group of movie creators or whatever, the film directors. They ended up being the most successful because they wanted to create popcorn movies. The other guys, they wanted to create art. They wanted to make art on the screen. And George Lucas and Spielberg were like, well, the whole point is to get people to go to these movies and enjoy them. Right. So we're making these for the masses. I'm not going to make this artsy film for my 5 friends. The friends kind of felt like they were sellouts, and then those guys kind of felt like, oh, well, we're making it for the masses. So yes, art should be something that can be consumed for the masses, but at the same time, people should be allowed to take from it what they will, and taking from it.
So you're on my side again.
Well, I'm just saying it shouldn't be just for status or for an investment. Although, like, that's fine.
Who's the arbiter of what is, where's the cutoff point? That's my whole point is, go back to the Fenway analogy. Okay, let's say it's not Fenway. Let's say it's a shitty, small lacrosse league that's trying to build up this fan base.
Okay.
If you're a huge lacrosse fan and then you start to seeing these kind of non-lacrosse people start to come to the games and be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And you're like, hey, shut the fuck up. This is our sport. You don't want to come here. It's like, well, you're never going to grow.
You don't even know how to cradle, bro.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, that's never going to grow. So, like, you can't have it both ways of, like, we want this to be a rich and famous and, like, want everyone to see it and be this amazing. I want it on a postcard. That's how she knows of the painting. But then also be like, oh, also, you don't understand it as well as I do, so therefore you can't buy it or have it or do any sort of thing around it because it's my, I want to see it. I want to have it the way I want to view it. It's like, no, you can't have it both ways.
Let's get back to Spielberg and Lucas. It's a little holy grail. Who deserves to get the holy grail? Not the Nazi. It ain't the Nazi. That's all that I'm going to say.
That's a way to take a stand. I didn't think you would go that far, D-Man, but you really took a stand on that one, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to do so. My first stock up is nicknames. Stock up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
So everyone in this, well, maybe not everyone, but the friends, the OG friends, they all have their own nicknames. Ali, call her Ali because she got in a fight or something like that. I can't remember what the deal. I can't remember what the backstory was, but they just called her Ali, and there you go. That just became her name. Kim. He said his name is Kim, which I don't even know what kind of man's name is Kim. I'm not judging. I'm just wondering what the parents actually named him. But he had to repeat himself so that forever and ever he became Kim, which I appreciated. Fish was an interesting one. I don't know if I really stand by it. It was kind of like when someone makes fun of you and you just lean into it so they stop making fun of you because her eyes were too far apart. Like maybe she had some
that was the reason? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think that was what the deal. They called her something else before that, and so she took it back to own it, and it was Fish. But yeah, I mean, you got. I don't know if you are was a nickname, and unfortunately Ted doesn't seem to get one. He's kind of like
he's kind of a plain Jane.
Yeah, he's
so
kind of the
Ted
boring
makes a lot
one
of
of the
sense.
group.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like he's got.
I mean, Ted is such a good one to do, like Theodore, Teddy Ballgame.
Yeah, exactly.
Theo.
Yeah,
you could do a lot of things.
There's tons. I mean, that was when my daughter was born. That was when we talked about names. That was my only thing. I was like, it needs to be able to have a nickname. It's as simple as that. And then we named her Lucy. We named her Lucy, and there's really not really many nicknames.
Well,
but
the book I started reading, the nickname for Lucifer was Lucy. So
it is. That's actually the male version.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we figured if we have a son, we'll just call him Lucifer and see how that works out. But yeah, I think all friend groups, they have nicknames. I feel like the more ridiculous they get, the better sometimes. I think we've talked about it on the pod before, but I have a good friend from college whose name is Cheese. And it's just because 8 Mile happened to be, his name is Rob, but 8 Mile happened to come out when we were in college, and he tore his ACL, so he was on crutches, and Cheddar Bob is in 8 Mile, got shot, and he became Cheddar Bob, and from Cheddar Bob he became Cheese, and he's 20 years later. That's his name. His name is Cheese. It's just, it's crazy. But yeah, so I love it. That's how you know you get good friends, or terrible friends, depending. But I feel like Ted must feel a little left out.
Yeah, it's tough. I also think, at least the nicknames I know of, all of them are pretty much last names, and all of them are, to go to my theory, that the best brands and best names that you remember are all 2 syllables. So if the person's first name is only 1 syllable, you change it to a 2 syllable. And you go with their last name. Okay. That's the typical thing. For you, O'Terry, D-Man.
We're going last names here. People are going to start Googling.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Blank, 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 blank. It's 3 syllables. You've said my last name like 100 times.
I know. What else you got for Stock Up?
Stock Up, the Penguin Show. I don't know if you ever caught that.
I started it twice, and because the wife's not really into it, so I kind of have to wait till she's asleep, and then I go back to it. But then it's like 15 minutes, so I never really get into it. But I mean, Colin Farrell he's doing it.
It is incredible. I don't know how he didn't win all the awards for it.
He's leaning in.
But I'm not going to get, I don't know if I can tell you the spoilers.
Yeah, please don't.
Let's just say, anyways, it's a dark show. It's like, has a lot of dark themes to it. So it's kind of a tough watch, which has made it so I couldn't get through it very quickly. But then when I finally did, I was super happy. But by the end of the show, you understand why the Penguins is a bad guy. And what he does to one of his enemies is essentially they tell him, this is the one thing I just do not want. Whatever happens to me, all you got to do is not do this one thing.
Okay.
And he says, yeah, of course, I would never do that. I'd never do that. Obviously, the end of the show comes around, and he makes sure that one thing that they said not to do to him or her is what he does. So people that watch the show, they can kind of understand what I'm talking about. And it's super dark. That is a great example of what they should have done with Yoar's dad when he got fucking paralyzed. Is they started torturing him every single day and being the shit out of him, because the way the past that he gets in this book does not make any fucking sense. I would have just rolled him out in the lawn and just left him out there in the snow or something. I would have done. I'm trying to think of all the things I would have done, but taking care of him for 20 years is literally the last possible thing I would have done. It makes no sense. They're like, yeah, he's not a bad dude anymore. He's like, yeah, he had major brain trauma. Like he's a vegetable. Yeah, obviously he's not threatening anymore. He also can't beat you up. So yeah, obviously he's not threatening anymore. It's like, but what kind of past did he get? Why? That was kind of just brushed over too. Like, yeah, he's just been taking care of my dad for the last 20 years. Like, oh, the person that was relentlessly beating you and your mom up for your whole childhood? Yeah, that guy. Oh, cool. That sounds fun. What? Huh? So take it from the Penguin Show. You'll understand when you see it. Don't do that shit. Do the worst possible thing ever. So stock up for the Penguin Show. Stock down for this dude.
Yeah, I think he did his dad did the opposite of the Phineas Gage, if you're familiar with that guy. He had a railroad spike accidentally go through his brain. It's a famous story.
Okay.
And I think he ended up having some crazy personality side effects where he went a little nutso.
Cuckoo.
And it was the opposite for Yoar's dad, who had this terrible injury and then became a good guy and
docile.
Yeah. Well, obviously he can't do anything, right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I feel like their mindset was the werewolf had its fangs and claws pulled out, so he can't hurt you anymore. He turned into the Voldemort that's under the bench at the railroad station in Harry's dream kind of thing. You remember?
Oh yeah, okay.
He's
the abortion.
Yeah, when Harry pities when Harry starts pitying Voldemort. So I think that's obviously the idea, but I agree with you 1,000,000,000%. You were about to stab this man to death. Not shoot him from far away. We're talking, you're about to get medieval on his ass, as they say in Pulp Fiction. So you're going to do that, and instead you end up taking care of him, wiping his butt and stuff. at least let him sit in his own shit for a while, you know? Smear it on his nose, you know, right under his nose.
Yeah, of course.
Give him the Hitler stash from South Park with his own poo. Something, you know. Like you said, leave him outside with the sprinklers on. Oh, my bad. Forgot you were out there. That kind of thing. Electrodes to the nuts. Something. You know, you got to get him back for all of the trauma he had done to you.
Mm-hmm.
That would have turned it. That's actually a pretty crazy kind of like horror-y type movie thing. You all of a sudden it turns around on you and they're torturing you.
Yeah, it's like that one book we read where the guy gets like stuck in the attic.
You're trapped in the closet. What do you mean?
Yeah, no. Remember, she like traps the guy in the attic. And
the housemaid.
Yeah,
the housemaid.
Yeah. It's like, you did this to me for an hour. I don't know any of the other backstory, but now I'm going to make you 5 days of torturing. And I was like, oh, that seems aggressive.
Yeah.
But they should have done that for him in this.
Yeah, I agree with you. My next stock up, also very serious. Farts are funny. It's stock up farts, you know? If you're in a writer's block and you don't know what to do, just listen to Fredrik Backman and make a little fart joke. You know? It's like, by the way, I'm on a train. Just farted. And everyone laughs. It always works. You go back to... I've been rewatching The Simpsons a little bit, you know, when I'm doing stuff here and there around the house. Because they're quick 20-minute episodes. And just put it on the phone, washing dishes, you know, throw Simpsons on. A lot of fart stuff in there. And
really?
It still hits. Hits. Works great for me.
It's like the video from The Simpsons where the guy throws a football into his nuts and he says, oh my, there's nothing better than that. That's it. It's always funny.
Exactly. It's always funny. So, I'm talking about, we barely even really talked about the book, I guess, but
we've got
but we're 30 minutes in. But
well, let me ask you this though about the whole farce thing, which didn't really make
Louisa
any
and
sense
Ted,
at all.
Yeah.
Louisa has a postcard side version of the painting.
Uh-huh.
Yet she somehow is able to see that there's these 4 kids on a... I mean, we don't have any idea what the painting looks like, but there's 4 kids on a dock and that they're laughing. No one else notices this. Like, everyone else misses it somehow.
She senses that they're laughing.
Looking at a full painting. She has a postcard version of that painting, and she's the only one that notices that there's kids there and that they're laughing or something's happening. And then she just asks Ted, who is the one that farted? Out of nowhere. There's no context. There's nothing. I'm like, how does any of this add up? It doesn't. And Ted's like, oh, that's funny you said that. Yeah, that's exactly what the painting was about. What?
Keith.
He didn't even paint it. How does he know that's what it's about?
Keith, she's got the metachlorians, all right?
Oh, yeah, she's one of the chosen one. I didn't think
exactly.
about that. Good point. All right, you're right. My mind.
They found one. I found one just like us. Another one.
Yeah. I got something on that later.
Yeah, it was in my lingering questions how she was able to identify this, and honestly, no one else was.
Yeah.
Because you feel like the colors would pretty clearly define that there are people there. I would like to see a ChatGPT rendition of what this painting looked like to be able... I mean, the point that he's trying to make is that none of these people are actually looking at the painting. You know, they're just liking it for its value, which is back to our rich people thing. So I get that point. But at the same time, it's a big painting. I think so. Whatever. It's big enough that people look at it. You should be able to see... If there's 3 kids sitting on a pier, you should be able to come out with, hey, at least what is that? Something. You don't have to be like, there are 3 kids sitting on a pier and one of them just farted and everyone's laughing. But... You know, at least those, bathing suits in there seem a little off compared to what else is going on here. What's the deal? So, yeah, I'm with you. It wasn't my lingering questions on how she was able. I think the rest of it, her figuring out they're laughing and the fart, was more of she's feeling the force within the painting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But
that makes sense.
One of my other stock up was Found Family. I guess this is a bit more serious one, but Found Family, stock up to that. You know, you can't choose your family. That's what they say. I guess that you're reminded of it like every day if you're in any of these kids' households, which all seem to have not great parents. Some outright terrible, like you are. Louisa has a troubled past, and Fish obviously does as well. Fish turns to drugs for coping, and then eventually, overdoses, which there's some beautiful language around that in this book if people have read it. But I'm thinking about Ted. What was Ted's
Mom or dad had cancer.
Yeah, dad was really
yeah.
sick, drank a lot,
And his
was
brother
sick. His
kind of
brother
a dickhead.
tortured him. Yeah, his brother tortured him, but
Yeah.
then they like ended up being fine. We know Ali, not such a great situation for her either. So yeah, you know, these people they weren't born into the families that really helped them in any way, but they were able to find each other. You know, the older we get, you know, the friends that we've had for so long, it's, you look back and like, holy shit, we've been friends for 30 years, whatever the case is. You look at it, it's like, that's crazy. You know, so that is really, you know, you are really family to some degree at that point. So yeah, found family. I think it's probably a point of this book if you're like reading about stuff or whatnot. But yeah, and who doesn't love their friends, you know? Especially when you give them nicknames, you fart on each other and stuff. My last stock up, was feedback. Stock up. After listening to those interviews with Fredrik Backman, the book looked very different in its first draft, and this will probably make you like dig your heels in even more into your previous stance. But the first draft, it didn't have any of the Ted Louisa stuff. It was just the kids. So there wasn't the two timelines going on. It was just the kids. And instead of the physical abuse being something that you saw on them or you heard about, you know, like, oh, Yar showed up with bruises on him, or, you know, hey, he said my old man did this, or whatever the case is. The first draft, he took you in. So you were a witness to this physical abuse. Like, you were there as the abuse was happening. And
so more uplifting than this book was.
Yeah.
You're saying somehow more uplifting.
Yeah. So, and like all of the, to me, all the real funny parts was with Louisa and Ted. Like, that was where there was some, you know, some good bits. There was obviously a little bit with the kids, but most of it was really Louisa and Ted and their relationship. So it was just all terribleness. And I guess he had Fredrik Backman being you know, showed this first draft to his wife and some friends, and they were like, this is terrible. this is so dark. And his wife pretty much said, like, you got demons. You like, this is not a good, there's good stuff in here, but holy smokes, this is a tough read. And that's when he went on his walk out into the woods and said he had like a mental breakdown and like cried, and then came back and like rewrote it. And so thank you for that feedback. Thank you for the feedback, because I'm not sure what this book would be if it was just
if it was any darker than it is now. I don't know yet.
Yeah. But. So stock up to feedback and the ability to take feedback. You know, that's important. Did you have any other stock downs?
Spence stock down? I think I felt like there's a bunch of big reveals, quote unquote big, in this book, and I have no idea why they were big reveals. It didn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so go on. What are the big reveals?
The first is like the artist's name. They're like, and then the artist came out, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be crazy when they really. I thought it was gonna be like, and then Picasso, his real name. I was like, oh shit, you know, like when like Robin is revealed to be in the Batman 3 there. Robin's revealed to be Joseph Levitt Gordon.
Yeah.
His middle.
Joseph
like,
Gordon
sometimes
Levitt,
I go by my middle name, Robin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good name. I was like, oh, you get like chills. You're like, oh shit, that's Robin.
Yeah.
This, they're like, that's Kim, and I'm like, who the fuck's that? What? Who's Kim?
Yeah.
Why does that matter? Why did we not reveal his name for like 3/4 of the book? And then they're like, and then you won't believe it. His name was Kim. It's like, okay.
I feel like when I was reading it, they kept referring to him as the artist. I thought there was probably some sort of symbolism or something along those lines that I didn't understand. And yeah, the Kim reveal, I was like, okay, cool. Because I was wondering what his name. They're like, oh, Siyat wasn't his name.
They did the name with Ali, and they're like, it wasn't 4 boys, it was a girl. And I'm like, okay, who gives a shit? Why does that matter? And then they're like, and then they never met again after that one day. And you're like, oh shit, I wonder what happened. Someone must have got stabbed. And they're like, no, nothing actually. No one got stabbed actually. They just like, Ali moved away. And I was like, okay. So that was the only actual good reveal was literally one sentence of being like, and then Ali was like great surfer, and then she died. And I was like, what the hell? And that was the last sentence. I was just like, yeah. And then they went on, and I was like, wait, what? So that was the only big reveal, and it was an accident that they spent one sentence on.
Well, no, the big reveal was that, UR didn't kill his dad, which is what we assumed the entire time, that the act of him killing his dad is what split them all up, in that he probably went to jail and, they all then...
But it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was no reveal.
Well, there was a reveal in that we assumed that UR killed his dad, and then it was like, oh no, his mom killed his dad. And then it was like, oh wait, no, his dad got in this horrific dock accident because a bird landed on a crane potentially, and it put a little too much weight on it and it crushed him or something along those lines. So there was a reveal. That was the reveal. He didn't kill his dad, and I thought that was actually a good part when they blended the two storyline timelines together, because they were talking about the old times. It was like the flashback kind of thing. And then all of a sudden they ring the doorbell. We think they're going to see Christian's mom, and they open the door and it's UR. And for a second, you're like, wait, which timeline are we in? And then you realize, oh, this is now, it's UR, but he has an ankle bracelet on. So it's like, okay, so he didn't go to jail forever, but why does he have an ankle bracelet? And it turns out he didn't kill his dad.
It has nothing to do with it's just a random occurrence.
He was drinking and getting rowdy. He's a soccer hooligan. Who knows?
No, he beat up some person that was abusing their kid.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
If we start the story with blood on his hands, then I just assumed he got killed by his dad. That's what I assumed. That's the only thing that I assumed. But then they opened the door and he's alive, and I was like, all right, well, he's not dead then.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood it was fake blood. What was it? What did they do? Because they hid the bird. I kind of got lost in that situation. They hid the bird and they put something else in the box.
I mean, that dude's a good dude. He needs to be taken care of for the rest of his life. That's all I got to say about that. Seems like a good guy just killing birds for no reason. Or trying to, at least. My only stock down, because we already did rich art people, was poetry stock down. I don't get poetry, so I'm not, anytime someone's like, oh, read this poem, it doesn't really do much for me. I'm more of the idiot, like, give me a limerick kind of thing. I'm like, oh. You're a famous poet.
Well, I am, but
you feel like you bring this up all the time just so you can say that.
I am published, but it's whatever. No, this to me, like, we say what you want about the book itself, how, the things that happen, whatever the case is, but the way that Fredrik Backman writes, that like describes things, I feel like that is poetry to me. In that, he has such a way with words that the way he uses like similes or like metaphors, whatever the case is, I don't even know how he comes up with that stuff. And sometimes it does seem like they're pretty extra. Like he just keeps going on about it. And there's like a lot in a row. This is like a this is like a this kind of thing. But it's stuff that it brings those actions to life to me, or describes a situation and it brings it to life by attaching it to something else. This is just what poetry is, then I can get behind it, but more often than not, I don't understand it. This is poetry to me.
Yeah, I will say he's a very good writer, and I think he uses a ton of like circular and callbacks, like Seinfeld-esque almost in that sense. But I do think that he does throw in a lot of like big momentous lines in there that are like, yeah, you can quote that one.
Yeah.
He throws in probably like 100 lines that are like, someone's gonna get that like tattooed on their arm or have that as their, as their high school quote. And I'm like, all right, like give me like 3 or 4 of those. You can't be throwing out this many in there. But
they come that easy to him. It's like, shit, what am I gonna do? Not use it?
I could never come up with one of them. So hats off to him. I'll give him that.
Did you have any other stock down?
I had 2 quick ones. I talked about this last one. Famous artist stock down. The whole premise would make a lot more sense for this book if it was a famous musician or tennis player or something where like they're famous, but
tennis player.
I'm just saying, like, let's say it's a prodigy tennis player, but they come from a poorer neighborhood, and so they don't have the ability to, get to the major tournament.
I got you. Like, it's just an interesting sport to choose.
Well, I'm just saying, like, any sports or anything like that, Yeah. But like, there's no such thing as a famous artist. Like, you just can't name one. I mean, maybe not in the circles we run in, but like, they're like, there goes that guy that's walking down the street. That's famous. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah, like you said when we were finishing up our last pod, the only one that we could think of was Banksy, and still no one knows
Doesn't know what he
doesn't know what he looks like,
Yeah.
right? That's like still
Yeah.
a thing. So yeah, Noah would be walking down the street, being like, "Oh, watch out, that's Sea Yacht," and it's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?"
And then my last one was just being an adult stock down, and this kind of meshes with my biggest hate. Is the problem with this book is it's super super cynical, but in my view, in all the wrong ways. Like I think I love being cynical towards an organization or a lifestyle or whatever the case is, right? Like where you can kind of rally people and be like, hey, this is not the way people should act in the real world. This is how we fix it. This book is just like, once you become an adult, everything in life sucks. There's nothing good about being in life. All adults are terrible. They're all horrible human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing that's good is being a kid and having friends. Outside of that, if you aren't an incredible artist or have a super loyal group of friends, your childhood probably sucked also, and your adulthood's gonna suck. It's like, what the hell? Like, there's nothing positive to come from this book. Not one positive thing, other than if you're an amazing artist, you have a chance to be famous, I guess. I don't know. So, stock down being an adult.
Yeah, I think the only positive aspect, well, the positive aspect is it's about friendship. You know, the idea that even through all of the shittiness, you know, a good group of friends can kind of pull you.
But isn't the point like
pull you
you're
together.
not gonna be friends with them anymore when you're adults? Like they barely talk to each other anymore.
Yeah, but don't you feel that with some people that you're friends with, that you don't talk to them very much, but then you have those situations like you are in Ted when you eventually see each other after a long time and you're shitting on each other, but you also know that there's an underlying, like, the shitting isn't mean-spirited. It's, you know, it's almost joking, and you still, you know, you have that bond because it's cemented. I think that's the point, is when you're kids, well, maybe not the point of the book, but point in my mind is when you're kids and you have these friendships, they almost like cement there, and then they stay that way no matter how old you get. So anytime you see each other, you just kind of go back to that, how it was then, unless you guys do something terrible to each other or something later on in life.
But isn't it driven home like throughout the book that that when we were 14, that was the best part of our life?
Yeah.
Like that was the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
We never gonna have that again. So now we're adults, and maybe we'll see each other once every 3 years, and maybe it'll be okay for like half a day. It's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, but
Christ.
when we were 14, wasn't that like the best? Like, you know,
That's what I'm saying.
you're
That's what I'm saying.
you're playing
Stock down adults.
Xbox, or you're just playing video games, having sleepovers, watching movies. You know,
There's no positives in this book. That's my hope. Unless you're 14 right now and reading this book, and you're like, well, I gotta live it up. This is the best. This is the best year I'll ever have. Other than that, there's no time machine, so I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what like 14-year-old me would be if I talked to him and was like, hey, this is what I'm doing on a day-to-day. He'd be like, wow, you're fucking boring as hell. You know, this is what I've become. Granted, I don't think I wasn't doing anything spectacular then, but at the same time, it's like, so you just, you work for a company, and then you put on some cans and you sit with one of your friends and you chat about books, and then you go golfing by yourself in the morning. Like, that's it. I'm like, well, I clean some dirty diapers here and there too, you know? So yeah, maybe they got it right. I don't know. What about favorite part or favorite storyline?
Yoara is definitely by far my favorite character.
Oh, okay.
and-
We didn't even say favorite character, but you just jump
Oh
into
yeah,
it.
sorry.
That's
I thought-
fine.
But it kind of ties in with my favorite part too. I think just his mentality of, yeah, I'm not gonna really fight for myself. Like I'm not gonna like get into a fight and get in trouble for myself. But if one of you says anything bad about my friends, it's it's go time. Throwing fisticuffs right away, which I love that. He's a very selfless person. And then I think the best part too is really the shitty teacher. Again, this is like why adults suck. Is like the teacher's only job is to like build people up.
Yeah.
And when the most inspirational adult is a drug addicted janitor who's like on shrooms or something, thinking about dragons and inspiring people, that's your most healthy relationship with adult. That's an issue.
Yeah.
So the teacher was terrible, but Yoara picking a fight with him and being like calling him shitty names, giving him a nickname and stuff like that. That was great. I like Yoara. Loved that whole fight between the two of them too.
Yeah. You are definitely, anyone that sticks up for their friends. And he's not a big guy. He's just a bulldog. But if you're also just used to getting beat up by a grown man all the time, it's like, what is this kid gonna do to me? That shit doesn't matter. Yours great. I had a love-hate relationship with Louisa. There were some aspects of her that I really enjoyed. The way that she kind of talked to Ted, or I think you probably would have some umbrage with the, her taking his money and buying stuff with it and then being like,
okay. All right. Yeah. We're getting there.
Yeah. I'd be like, what? He's like, that was my money. He's like, yeah, but like, I buy you. You're not going to say thank you. I thought it was funny, so I enjoyed it, but it was also like, wow. That's why the love-hate aspects is like, wow, is this an entitled, but also like shitty kid? Or is she funny? Like, did she know it's a joke? Like, was she in on it, or was she serious?
So. The thing is, if she was 8, everything she does, if she were 8 years old, it'd be cute and it'd be, oh, this kid, like, it's kind of adorable.
Like Leave It to Beaver kind of thing.
She's 18. She's an adult, and you're like, oh no, she's just a shitty person. Like, that's all she is. I'm like, I didn't get it.
Maybe it was just the fact that she felt so comfortable the way she talked to adults. Yeah, I could never talk like that to an adult when I was 18, No. And then you realize when you become an adult, you're like, oh, we're just older versions of this. We're the same person. We're just older. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily think about it like that. But when you're a kid, you're like, oh, even if you're 18, you're like, oh, shoot, like, let me make sure I'm, saying the right things or whatever. She just doesn't care. She's putting her feet up on the train and living her best life, saying what a cute baby, that kind of thing. And I would be sitting there and not speaking unless I was spoken to, kind of thing.
I do love that we first get introduced to her and she's vandalizing. I thought it was a church for some reason, but
it might be, I forget, but
wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And then assaulting 2 of the security guards, and then she like runs up on Kim, and she's like, "I'm an innocent little girl," and I'm like, "Wait, what? She just like bit and punched the shit out of a security guard, didn't she?" I'm innocent. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, I guess. So yeah, like I said, if she was 8 years old, I think everything she did in the book would be cute, and now it's like, no, you're kind of a shitty person.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she's like Bart Simpson or Leave It to Beaver, but she's a grown ass person. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like,
when you start thinking that, you're like, oh, never mind.
I'm not sure. All right, let's get some love hates. Keith, what did you love about My Friends?
You already talked about it. I think he's just a really, really good writer.
Yeah, it's my number one
so I don't know why he thought that he's... I don't thought the subject matter and the overall story, I think I've already bemoaned a little bit here, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. But I will never criticize his writing. I think his writing's like very, very, well done. So
yeah, and
it's also funny at times.
If you read Anxious People, you didn't know who wrote it, and then 10 years later you read this book, you'd be like, I feel like I know you know the same person touched him. So he's got a very unique and interesting way of writing. So appreciate
Agreed,
it.
Yeah.
What do you think about the dual timelines? Because I liked them.
Yeah, no, I know. I like the dual timelines anytime they do that.
Okay. Yeah, and it didn't really dawn on me until maybe halfway through. Maybe it's not supposed to. But it's Ted telling the story to Louisa as they're on the train, right? Mm-hmm. That's how we're learning about the backstory, is Ted telling it to Louisa. And then at the end, she tells him you should go write a book. And he's like, what would I even write about? So the book is Ted's writing of the meeting of the Louisa story, while also then telling her about his previous life as a child. Which is right? Did I get that right?
Yes,
okay.
I believe so. I think there's some holes in the story, because we're hearing it from Ted, and then he's only telling her certain things.
Well, then UR tells her some pieces of it too.
Yeah.
Because UR fills in, and then I think also like Christian's mom might tell her some of the backstory as well. But yeah, I liked the two stories. I think it was well done. It felt like it flowed well, and then like I said before, they collide with when they actually meet UR, and that's when Ted kind of stops telling the story and UR picks it up, or Christian's mom, or whatever the case is. So yeah, I love that. What else you got?
I like the janitor I already mentioned.
You like Christian drawing his skulls?
Just being like, yeah, man, do my job for me while I'm fucking going off completely on LSD or shrooms or something right now. And it's like, all right, sounds good.
Also, who the fuck is this art teacher, the owl, that they hire them to do like to teach art. I feel like art teachers are probably, on the whole, the least douchebaggery of teachers, right? They're always a little out there. It's odd for this, like the art teacher, to be the asshole in the whole thing in high school.
I feel like sometimes they are a little bit
pretentious.
They've been
maybe
doing it for like 20 years, pretentious, and they've like kids aren't listening to them, and they don't see that many talented people, so they probably are pretty annoyed. But then when you see a talented person, you feel like you gotta juice them up.
So he's like, draw. I can't remember what it was, but it's like draw a butterfly, and instead, Kim, presumably because he's a great artist, draws something that is beautiful, but says it's not a butterfly, but says like, this is how a butterfly makes me feel, or something along those lines. Who cares if there's a butterfly or not?
An artist would eat that up too. Yeah. They would fucking love that.
And if I can remember what I used to do in art class, if someone was like, draw a butterfly, it looked like a 5-year-old drew it. You know, I'm drawing the cigar-shaped body, putting some antennas on, and you're not getting anything good from anybody. It's not like there's a bunch of savants and this is the Juilliard of painting or whatever. You know, this isn't next level. It's a freshman high school art class. So if someone's drawing anything that looks nice, it should be like, oh, that's great. But this guy's got his own issues, I guess, and it's just a dick.
Yeah, hate to see it. He's an adult kid.
Yeah, I know. He's got issues. He's got issues. I loved that it was just a wholly unique story. You know, it's fresh IP. Mm-hmm. I love movies. I watch a lot of movies, or I used to. I watch less now, but I do love them. And I saw Sinners recently. Did you see Sinners?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's obviously a vampire movie. Spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. But it's a vampire movie, so there are some vampire tropes in there. But I just really enjoyed that it was a unique story. I'm so sick of seeing just reused IP over and over again. It's, superhero movie. And I've been watching some older movies lately and enjoying them wholeheartedly and being like, wow, this is like it's a story that is not from a book or, based on a book or based on a superhero or based on some sort of IP. It's just something that someone came up with. So the idea that he can kind of come up with a story, whether you love it or not, I just love the idea of it being fresh intellectual property, and he does this with all of his books. And it's interesting to me that there's so much of this in the book space, and I guess it's because of the movies they cost a lot of money and you got to go into the big screen. But even there's so many streaming options now, it feels like there can be good movies that aren't just remakes of old stuff. Did you see that Nicolas Cage movie, Pig?
No. Good?
Great movie. Phenomenal movie. And It didn't go to theaters or whatever the case is, and I didn't even know what it was about, but I was like, oh, this Nicolas Cage's got a beard and he looks like the Unabomber. Like, sure, I'll check it out. And I was like, wow, this is just a good movie. Like, why don't they come up with this? So, Fredrik Backman stock up just for coming up with
and there wasn't a ton
stories.
of plot. So the fact that he made it so lifelike, I think was definitely
exactly.
good.
Just people on a train telling a story, and then it's not, you're not in depth with these kids. It's kind of just living in what's going on in the summer.
My last two are just also movie references, but there's definitely a couple of Good Will Hunting. If you're still here, we've brought that up a few times, but there's a couple of times where they would like talk to the Kim and be like, bro, you're the only one that has talent here, so if you're fucking still here in 20 years, I'll fucking kill you. That's not a threat. I'll fucking do it.
Sure. So what are you still doing here? When they bring her by the museum, it's like, you'll be in there. He's like, I'm not good enough. It's like, you'll be in there.
And then the taxi driver was just Yoda. I didn't understand that part, but
what
she was just talking in like reverse sentences. The taxi driver picks them up.
So that was your hate?
No, that was my two last loves.
Oh, you love the Yoda taxi driver.
Yeah, I like the two references to Star Wars and
you got it. Good Will Hunting. I feel like I should ask you your hates because I didn't really have a ton of hates, honestly. The first half of this book, it was a slog. It really was. Mm-hmm. And the second half, I think I started to like get in with the characters and like we started to feel each other out. And although it wasn't what we're normally reading, I started to enjoy it more. And then at the end, I liked it. So I feel like you didn't feel that way.
No, I already kind of went over a bunch of my hate. I think that dragged in. I think a couple other things. Anxious People was kind of uplifting. This was downlifting. And if you weren't one of us, I thought that was like kind of more of an exclusive.
Yeah, it was like at the end, like she's like, "Oh, we found one of us. I found another one of us."
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're only important if you're a famous art, like if you're a really talented artist. It's like, oh, I never really liked that concept of like I'd rather hear a story about Yoar than the fucking famous dude. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, if you're talented, great. Like the person that like picks up the talented person and makes them talented, that's more impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a big issue with me, and it's more because maybe I'm an idiot. But train conductor, I always thought that was the person that was operating the train. When you said train conductor, I was like, oh yeah, the guy, like the guy that's driving the train. I think that was just from when I was a kid. I always assumed conductor meant like, the person that's going whoop whoop with the whistle.
Yeah, they're conducting.
I thought he was driving the train.
So when he was
conducting the train,
when he's walking around, you're like, holy shit, who's driving the train?
Why is it? Yeah, it's like, is this? It's like that movie
Unstoppable.
Train, kid.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? Then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it must be a bad translation. I looked it up and I was like, train conductor does not do anything with driving the train. And I was like, what the hell? Am I an idiot? So I'm upset about that mostly.
Yeah, he's like walking the halls and you're on the train. You're freaking out. You're like, what's going on?
There was a lot of train conductors when we were growing up reading books. I don't know what happened to them, but they were in like every book.
That's true. A lot of train conducting going on. George Carlin was a train conductor.
Oh, yeah. Great show.
So what is it? Is it an engineer that drives the train? Or?
Yeah, it's a terrible name. I was like, wait, that's it? Ugh.
So a conductor just goes around and checks tickets and kicks people off if they don't have their tickets?
That's pretty much it. I thought conductor makes it sound like they're making something happen, conducting, right?
Yeah.
Like a conductor at an orchestra is the person that's driving the whole orchestra, not taking the tickets of the people where they're sitting.
Yeah, imagine you're at an orchestra and you're at a concert and he just steps down and starts punching tickets and they just play. I had a couple lingering questions. Where does it all take place? Does it take place in Sweden?
It's a great question. I don't think so because of the amount of violence.
There's not a lot of violence in Sweden?
I don't think so. I think this has been the U.S., just based off that. But there wasn't enough guns for the U.S. So
there should have been more guns. People just shooting each other.
Yeah, maybe like Germany or something like that. Maybe there. What type of name is Yoar? Is that Swedish?
I don't know. English? Scottish? Moorish? No, that's from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I think it's in Scandinavia. I think it's got to take. It's taking place up there.
I thought they were all like super happy up there. Guess not. I guess he wrote this book.
They got sad. They got sad up there because it gets dark for like 6 months a year. So Ali drowned. She became a famous surfer and then drowned. Did you get the vibe that went out there on purpose?
I was getting the vibe that it was more of the Johnny Utah once in a lifetime wave type vig, where she's like, you only see this type of wave once, paint me when I do, type of thing. That's what I felt. It wasn't like she was like, because she's supposed to be a prolific surfer, so she's not just gonna like trip and all of a sudden die. I think she just was like, went after the big one,
little George Clooney perfect storm kind of vibe.
Oh god, yeah, go down with the shit. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It's like my fantasy teams. I keep on saying this year. People are trying to trade for me, and my teams are all like 0-4, and I'm like, I'm going down with the ship, Captain.
I love that. So on the whole, who's the book for, and would you recommend it? But I also want to get a take of how, if you liked, like, it doesn't seem like you like this book, like, at all.
I did not like the book. It took me a really long time to read just because I never looked forward to reading it at all.
Yeah.
It was a chore. We talked about Red Rising, how it was just more of like, you put a warm blanket on when you're reading or listening to it, and this one I was like...
Warm blanket? I put a Trojan on.
I was like, how many hours left do I have? Trojan. I was like, I kept on being like, how many hours do I have left type of thing on this one. It just took a long time. Yeah. It was super depressing. I can get into a book that's the Nazis are the reason that everything's bad in the world, and then they rally against that, and you're super cynical because of the Nazis. Great, I can get into that. But if you're just like, life is terrible, I'm like, all right, this is fucking... Like, there's what can you do? There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Why do I want to read this? I also wanted to give two character acting. This is what I imagined for them real quick. Mm-hmm. Louisa... I think this was like, I don't know if you've watched Haley Steinfeld's early stuff. You mentioned
I saw Sinners. No, well, I saw True Grit. If that's what early stuff is.
This is her character in True Grit, and all of like her movies when she was younger. She plays Louisa, like the over talkative, like talks to adults the same way as kid would. And then I had Rami Malek for Ted, which I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he plays that character.
Little bug-eyed, like works out.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I would. I mean, I think this is like a pure book club book.
Yeah,
which is
definitely a book club book.
It's a book club book. I gave it a 2.25. I think the writing was great, and if you look back at it from 100 feet, he did a really good job with this, but it just was too depressing and not. It just I didn't want to read it.
2.25 out of 5.
Yeah, you can't really give it over anything average. So it had to be slightly below average for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would, for those same points, I would give it an above average. I thought it was, the writing's really good. So I think from that, it immediately gets a 2.5. And then did I like the story? Like, not so much at the beginning. It gets a little boost for me because I did eventually enjoy it. So I would probably give it 2.75 to 3 range. Probably below 3, just below. So I liked it. I do feel the same way that you did, though, where it wasn't like I was dying to pick it up and know what was going on. But when I was reading it, I felt like I was listening to the story and I was involved in it. It wasn't just, oh my God, get this thing over with, And I feel like we've read so many books that even though it can be the opposite, where the story could be interesting, like The Housemaid you brought up, it's like, oh, this could be an interesting story, but it was just so poorly done that I was like, I'm just not enjoying this. So this was kind of the opposite, where it was so well done, and I wasn't so into the story, but I still enjoyed it. And yeah, I would say 1,000,000,000% this is like a legit book club book. Like, at the back of the book, there's probably questions that you should be asking your book club people. So who I would recommend it to is like, I'll tell my mom to listen to this one. She'll love it.
It's one of those books that someone would be like, oh my God, you have to read it. What an incredible book. Like, what'd you like about it? It's like, it's incredible. They'll never give you any like answer for it. It's just like, it's beautiful.
It's like the art that people want. It's like they're just virtue signaling or something. It's so good because and
you're like, why? It's like, well,
the language,
it's
the
beautiful.
way you have to understand the plight of these destitute children. Okay, cool. Well, that was my friends. Call Keith if you have issues with half of the things that he said.
All of that's getting cut, so it's fine.
And what do we got coming up next?
And next we got D-Man's favorite. It's, what is it? Legend by Marie Lu, I think it is. Yeah, Marie Lu.
Yeah.
It's a quick one, only a 7-hour, 8-hour read, so I'm actually 41% done. It's going by quick.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's definitely going by quick.
Peasy.
I looked at it. I was like, holy shit, I'm like 75% of the way there. Like, holy shit. All right, we'll talk about Legend next time. Keith, great talking to you. That was my friends, and we'll catch everyone for Legend.
Indeed.
All right.
Alrighty.
Bye now.
Bye now.